What's happening, people? In tonight's live stream, I'm going to show you how you can use my free jungle template to get started making a jungle tune in Ableton Live. So I hope you're all good, hope you can hear me. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me, if you can see me. And also let me know if you can see Ableton Live. And I want to big up DJ Fully Loaded. Apologies if I'm sounding a bit ill. So I got ill twice in a row. First I got a stomach bug. I was very sick, and then I recovered, and then I got a cold. I want to big up my lovely lady, Manny Lynn Sahagon, in the chat. So the tune that we're listening to now is the one I made last week on Sunday night. If you're interested in seeing how I made it from start to finish, just check out last week's live stream. It took me 2 hours, and it's called Liquid Drum and Bass Production Tutorial Live. If anyone else is there, jump in the chat. Let us know if you can see me. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if everything's working. And also let me know how you are. Big up Future World Machines back on the scene. I don't know if you were able to watch this one back, Future World Machines. The live stream from last week, I mean. Oh, I'm so happy you like it, Mark. Twilight. And it's basically that, but I'm going to let it loop around one more time to let more people join. In the meantime, we can have Craig's little weather report. It's been... You know what? It's like I have to give one weather report for Barcelona and then another one for this room. So Barcelona, it's got cooler. It's been raining a bit. It's been cloudy. It's also been sunny. This room, still over 25 degrees. And I have to run the AC before doing this stream as much as possible to get the room down to a reasonable temperature. And I don't know if you saw, some of you might have seen that last week, the camera just turned off after an hour and a half because it gave up. It overheated. But to be honest with you, I think this stream is going to be a bit shorter, probably just 1 hour. I'm going to show you the template. I'm going to show you where you can download it. And then I'm going to set you the challenge of using the template to make a jungle tune. How can you get a cold in Barcelona? I don't know, but it happened. And I was bedridden Thursday and Friday. I'm happy that I'm actually... the headache and the fever is gone now, and I've just got a snotty nose. So if you hear me sniffling on this stream, I do apologise, but I thought I'm going to... Instead of cancelling it, I'm just going to power through. Because I've been meaning to give you this template for a while. Literally created it about a month ago. Anyway, this is Twilight. It's probably going to get finished very soon. You know what? I keep going on about that I'm going to release a greyish album of Liquid tunes, and that's a very strong candidate for the album. So anyway, Jungle Production Template 2025. I am going to save Twilight, actually. So the idea of this template, yeah, it's basically for beginners who want to get into music production, jungle in particular, and perhaps you just don't know where to start. It's all a bit daunting, and you just need a helping hand getting the first steps. So as you can see, I'm going to go through the different tracks of it first of all. We've got drums. So there's a few different breaks in there. We've got the Amen break, the Think break, Hot Pants break, Funky Drummer, and there is a layer of hi-hats as well. Then moving on to the bass group, we've got Reese bass, Donk, 808 bass, and Fat sub. And then instruments, we've got jazz chord, pad, rave stab, piano, and effects. And I'm going to go through them and show you them all in a bit. But first, I wanted to show you the breaks. So this is a beginner's template, so we're going to start at the very beginning. So what is a break? Well, basically it's a drum loop or sample that is taken from an old school tune. Most of it is funk tunes from like the 60s and 70s, where the band would all stop playing apart from the drummer, and they'd give him a chance to have a little solo. And then you can take that solo drums, and they usually have a very funky swing to them, so that you can, if you include them in your jungle or drum and bass tracks, they give it a very human feel and make it sound like a real human drummer is playing on your tune. So let's give you a bit of an example, and you can see that they're all in there already, but I'm going to show you the raw samples. So if I go into production here and go into where is it now? All CD quality famous breaks. And then Amen break. So here is the Amen break, and as you can see, I mean, people are mad for breaks. They have gigabytes and gigabytes of the same drum loop over and over again, but you can see here, look, clean saturation, clean, hard compression. It's the same sounds, but they've just like processed them in different ways. So this is what the Amen break sounds like. And it's chopped up into 4 different parts. Now what I've done in this template is basically I've taken some of the most famous breaks and I've chopped them up and I've put them on these pads. So let's take the Amen break for example. Here in this is called the drum rack, right? In the drum rack, you've got the different parts of the Amen break chopped up. So here's kick 1, here's kick 2, here's the snare. And what happens is, if you rearrange those slices, you can put them together into a pattern that sounds like this. Now the amazing thing about this template and what I've done here is that you can take that same pattern and apply it to the Think break, and it sounds like this. Like, you could literally grab the same MIDI clip. So watch, let me delete these MIDI clips here. So because this is a beginner tutorial, I'm just going to explain what a MIDI clip is. So in Ableton Live, there's 2 different types of clips. There's audio and there's MIDI. And in a MIDI clip, it's basically the one where you can play the notes in using a keyboard, or you can just draw them in as these blocks. So if you've got a keyboard, you can play it. If you don't have a keyboard, you can just draw in blocks literally like this. And it's usually for notes, but it's also for drum machines. So Future World Machines is saying you only really need a clean version of main jungle breaks, and then you can apply processing and chops. Yeah, totally. So I just thought I'd give everybody a bit of a head start, because sometimes you might have an idea for a tune that you've got in your head, and it's like, how do I get that out? Right, well, you can just open up the Jungle Production template, quickly start putting in the slices for the different breaks and stuff. So watch this now. We've got the Amen break there, right? And this MIDI clip is playing a certain pattern. Alright, so Paolo is saying it's kinda hard to find though. By the way, guys, I probably should tell you where you can find this. And basically, I've launched a Patreon, and it's patreon.com/Graish. Now, on Patreon, you can either become a free member or a paid member. If you become a paid member, you're basically supporting this channel and helping me continue to make this type of content. So this particular folder is for both. So you can either become a free member of my Patreon or you can become a paid member of my Patreon, and either way, you get to download this template. So if you want it, go to patreon.com/Graish. I'm not sure if that's what you meant, Paolo, but if you want the template, that's where it is. Anyway, I was just going to say, this particular MIDI clip that I've made for the Amen break, which puts the slices together in that particular order. Now watch what happens if I just drag that down onto the think break instead. And then solo that one. Now there was one hit missing there. Big up, Paolo. I hope that's answered your question. So go and grab it for free and have a play. It's for Ableton Live 12 though, so you're going to need the latest version. All right, so that basically what I'm trying to say is that you can basically put together a MIDI clip of a certain pattern of the chops and then just drag it to each one of the breaks. So you can take this same MIDI clip and put it on the Hot Pants break and it sounds like this. You can take the same MIDI clip and put it on the Funky Drummer break and it sounds like this. And then you can put it on all of them together. So even though it says Amen break on the clip, you know, you can just put it on all four and now it sounds like this. Now, would I recommend you running all four breaks together like that? Not particularly, but I just thought I'd demonstrate that you can do that if you want. So there's all the breaks. And I think for now I'm probably going to just mute a couple of them. And I want to move on to the bass. Now, the way how I've done these basses is they're all tuned to the same note, which means if you're someone who's got a MIDI keyboard or someone who likes to use the computer keyboard, then you can do the same basically. As I just showed you, you can create one MIDI clip and then drag it to the different instruments. So let me just demonstrate that. So so this button over here on the right side that I've just clicked, it's called arming the track. So you can arm it so that that's the one you're going to be playing, right? So if I arm the respace and then use the keyboard, it sounds like this. And one octave down, it sounds like this. Shout out Jason in the chat, or is it Jarson? Alright, so what I was saying is, if I play an F, right, here's the respace. And then if I play the donk, yes, so No-Fi Jams is asking me, it is only for Ableton Live 12, I'm afraid. Although there is a possibility that I could put it up for Ableton Live 11 as well, if that's something that everyone's interested in. I do still have Ableton Live 11 on my other laptop, so I could kind of put it into the older version for you guys. So anyway, my point is, all four of these basses, you can play the notes and they'll all sound the same. So let's say, for example, if I did a pattern that's F and C. And then know what I mean? It would work in Bitwig too, Future World Machines is saying. I didn't know that. I didn't know that you could open Ableton Live projects in Bitwig, but if you can, that's absolutely genius. Alright, moving on to the instrument section. Check out this jazz chord. Alright, here's the pad. And obviously we can put some effects onto these in a bit as well. Rave stab. This was... I made this piano to sound like a rave piano, basically. It's a very... You see how it's grand piano single sample? It's supposed to be sounding kind of like a fake piano from the 90s. And then I just want to show you the effects section. So the effects section is basically a drum rack that contains a lot of different sound effects, including... We've got gun, gunshot, reload. So if you want to start yourself a bit of a intense jungle banger that's got gunshots and reloads, there they are. All right, next we've got laser. That's mad, I didn't know. Future World Machines is saying that you can also open Ableton Live projects on the MPC-1. I never knew that. That changes everything. So there's a couple of rewinds here. You can sort of put them like on a transition, for example, just before the drop. There's some dub sounds, which are usually very good for sort of ragga jungle styles. Screech and skid. That's like a cartoonish tires skid. We've got a triangle, just like a old school triangle. Then there's another skid, alarm, scratch, and whoop. So there's the sound effects, and obviously, you know, with it being a template, it's a starting point for you guys to start your track. So what you can do is just click here above and then start putting more of your own effects into there, you know? And then you can save it, and then you've made the template your own and added something yourself. So how about if I just start off with an instrument? The jazz chord, for example. It's just a way of getting started, you know, so. I was thinking it could go to a little G there. Sorry, guys. Alright, so the idea is that I'm providing you with the chopped up breaks. They're all chopped up into the drum rack, but you still got to come up with your own pattern. So for that reason, I'm going to create a MIDI clip here. So what you do is you highlight a section, and then you press Shift, Command and M, and I'm pretty sure that it's Shift, Control and M with Windows. Then what you need to do, and this is a very crucial part, so pay attention, make sure you right click here and put this onto 1/8. So that's your grid, and that's going to be the length of the notes that you're putting in. Make sure you choose 1/8, alright? Once you've done that, we can just zoom in on the first bar and start putting in some notes. What I like to do is double click to create the first note, and then just press Command and D or Control D on Windows, and then literally just like duplicate it and then use your up and down arrows to move it up and down. So we've got slice 2 in place, duplicate it, move it up to the snare. Like that, you know. Once you get the hang of it, you can plow through super quickly, especially if you know where the slices are. For example, slice 1 of all of these breaks is always going to be a kick. Slice 3 is always going to be a snare, you know. So it usually goes kick, kick, snare, shuffle, shuffle, snare, something like that, you know. So you always know that slice 1 is your kick. And you can do these classic patterns, like you can do like slice 1 2 3 1 2 3, or you can do 1 2 1 2. You know, these little classic. If you've listened to a lot of jungle, you will have heard all of these patterns before. For the ones who've just joined us, if you're wondering where to get this free template from, it's my Patreon. So it's patreon.com/Graish. It's also in the link in the description, so you can just click on that, go to Patreon. You don't have to pay, excuse me, you don't have to become a paid member of my Patreon. You can just become a free member, but you do have to become a member of some sort, so either free or paid. Once you're a member, then you just click on the Dropbox link and download the project folder there. Make sure you download the whole project folder and not just the actual Ableton Live file, because you're going to need all the samples that come with it. Let's keep going with these 1/8 notes. So another classic pattern is 1 2 3 1 2 3, like that. Wait. Like this. So we've got 1 2 3 1 2 3. There's also 1 2 1 2, and also 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Sometimes if you want to go a bit mad, you can just do 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 like that, and it sounds like this. Don't worry, Paolo, grab it for free. It's a pay if you can basis, you know, and if I Trust me, I know what it's like to be broke. So if someone was offering me this for free, I would take it too. Thanks for tuning in, mate. You know, sometimes I say, where is everyone locked in from? And I'll say that now as well. Where are you guys? So Paolo's in Brazil. I'm in Spain. I know DJ Fully Loaded is in England. Where's everyone else based? You know, that was a happy accident. Wait a sec. Okay, well, it was F. We're in F, so it was pretty obvious. But it was the F to E that was the happy accident. And also the sort of interval. Boom, boom, boom. No way. No Fi Jams is in Australia, and it's 5:30 in the morning. So are you up all night, or are you waking up early? Anyway, I'm just using I've put in a cheesy rave piano. It's literally just one piano sample. And as I was saying before, the idea of this is, back in the early 90s, they would use some pretty corny sounding pianos when they were making jungle. So in order to replicate that, I thought I'd just chuck in this piano that's just one sample that you can play at all different pitches. And obviously it's going to sound a bit fake and hopefully sound a little bit like what they were using back then. Right, what I'm going to do is cheat a little bit. I'm going to copy and paste that, and then I'm going to alter the notes. Why did I do that? Because it's to do with the timing of the... Excuse me. I should probably start finishing my sentences. So basically I copied and pasted it because now I only need to worry about the pitch of each note but not the timing, because I'm going to follow the same timing again. Boom, boom, boom. Hope this isn't too cheesy. If what you want, if you just want this to do the same notes again, but you want to keep the length of the MIDI clip, what you do is this green bit along the top is the loop. So you bring back the loop. Wait. Bring back the loop, but keep the clip length 9 or 8 bars, sorry. See, now it loops it again. So we've got a reverb on send A, and actually I hadn't noticed, but I have actually already sent all of these to the reverb, so the piano is already going to the reverb. Let's send it to, let's put some other stuff on the piano. I'm just going to grab the delay. I was saying to you guys last week that whenever you've got a melody that's very sort of starty-stoppy like this, one thing you can do is just go through the different timings of the delay and hear how it sounds on each one, and you might be pleasantly surprised that you just suddenly hear one that completely comes up with a new melody. Obviously, if you put it on 1, then it's very quick, but let's try 2. So Future World Machines is asking me if I ever use scale mode, and for the people that don't know, basically if you look here at the top where it says C major, what you can do is you can choose a scale that you want to write in, for example F minor, and then here where it says fold, click that, and that only shows you the notes that you're using. And there's other ways of using scales, but the answer is, do I do it? No, because that stuff's all very new, and I'm just old school, you know, and I've been using Ableton for over 15 years, and none of that stuff used to exist. But I probably should get into it. Anyway, so I'm going through the different timings of the delay to hear if any of them make it sound interesting and give it a whole new melody. Alright, so the 6th one is basically what it's already doing. And I just did that kind of instinctively without really knowing what I was doing. But what I was doing is I was putting it on this 6th pattern. So listen what it does now. Did you notice how each note that it repeats is on top of a note that's already there? It's because I was already doing the 6th pattern. Alright, so most of these sound horrendous, but the 3rd one sounded alright. There's more people watching now. As I was saying before, if you want to grab this template, you can get it from my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Graish. Just become either a free member or a paid member and you can grab it there. So as I was saying at the beginning of the stream, you can use the same MIDI clip on all different breaks. For example, now I've written it on the funky drummer break. Let me just turn all these back on. I've written it on the funky drummer break and it sounds like this. But what happens if we drag it up to the hot pants break instead? Excuse me. Alright, let's read what it says in the info view. Scale mode. Use this toggle to turn scale mode on or off. When enabled, the current scale root and current scale name choosers will reflect the active scale in selected clips. The choosers can also be used to set a scale for new clips or change the scale of existing selected clips. So this is really useful for if you don't really know much about music theory and you can just like say, only show me the notes that are in the scale of my choice. For me, not that I really know loads about music theory, I do it all by sound, you know, as in I play a note and I say, does that, I know in my mind if it fits into my chosen scale, even if I couldn't tell you the name of that note or I couldn't tell you what scale I'm even working in half the time, you know. I just press the note and instantly know whether that's fitting in with this tune, you know. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you arm, you know, I was saying before about the arm button, which is that little red button right over to the right side. If you arm a drum rack and you've got a MIDI keyboard, or you can use your computer keyboard, you can actually play all of the drum rack's sounds on your keyboard. Right, so I need to go down an octave. Maybe ray gun would work with loads of delay on it. Alright, I know the piano melody is getting a bit annoying. How about the ray gun? And another thing, let me show you this. So the drum rack is incredibly powerful because, as you can see, on this whole channel I've got a reverb after it, right? But what about if I wanted to have effects just on one of these pads of the drum rack? Well, you can do that. All you have to do is drag it directly onto that pad. For example, this delay, I've dragged it onto ray gun, and it appears after that sound. So the way how you can tell whether a sound is on the whole track or whether it's just on one pad is to do with the gap between. So you can see between the reverb and the delay there is actually a gap, and there's even a little meter that shows the loudness, right? This little meter here. But you'll notice that between this sample and the delay there is no gap and there's no meter, so you can tell that that is attached to strictly that pad of the drum rack. Alright, let's move on to a different drum sound. The think break, for example. Big up DJ Fully Loaded, he's become a free member on my Patreon. And I think that the way how these breaks are sliced, and if you start slicing up your breaks in this way yourself, I think it's just amazing that you can put together a pattern, maybe even a pattern that's 8 bars long, and then just drag it between the different breaks. So now here's how it sounds with the Amen break. Another thing you could do is, look, watch this then. See how I've got an 8 bar long clip, and you may have heard in jungle music that sometimes it does a lot of chopping and changing. What you could do is slice this part out by highlighting it and pressing Command and E, and then moving it up to that break, and then slicing out these bars, you know, 2 bars up on that break, and then it stays here for a bit, and then this last bit is on the Amen break, for example, you know. You could just slice it up and chop and change. Just as an example of the type of stuff you can do with this template, or with slice to MIDI in general. Alright, let's put in some notes for some of these bass lines. So here's the Reese bass. Right, that's a bit low. 1 octave up. 1 octave up. Right, so this one. We've also got fat sub. I might give that a bit of attack. Turning up the attack takes away the click at the beginning of the sound. Also, you need to make sure it's on one voice. If you still get a click between the notes, then one thing I like to do is, when you're programming in the notes, just leave a tiny little gap between them to make it as clean as possible. Let's have a listen to Donk. To be honest with you, Donk sounds out of tune. That's completely fine. Right, you know what? I'm going to rewrite this tune because I'm not really happy with the chord structure and stuff. So I'm going to keep the effects that I've put in there. I'm going to keep the first half of the melody. With the pad, not really happy with it going to this C. Alright, so this 808, it has a load of distortion on it, which is provided by this saturator. Wait. Where are we? Right, so before I was banging on about how sometimes when you have two notes in a row, and if they're too close together, it can make a click. What you can do is, you see that little gap? You can make it very subtle. You can make it almost go up to the next note, but not quite, something like that. Not 100% necessary, but if you do ever notice a little click, then this is the way you get rid of it. Just experimenting a bit, you know. I basically felt like the original chord structure and everything was way too happy, and I wanted to make it a bit of a darker tune. So I do feel like going from F to D made it sound a lot darker, and I have no regrets about that. But now I need to rewrite the piano melody. You know, doing these streams, it's like a balance of making the tune, and I need to make the tune good and everything, but I also need to make the stream entertaining, you know? And usually I wouldn't mind sitting here for the next 45 minutes trying to make this piano melody sound good, but that's not exactly entertaining for you guys. So you just kind of, what I find that I do is like hop around instead. So maybe I'll leave the piano melody for a bit and then just like work on something else instead. I do feel like it should have a diva going, hiya! Something like that, you know? So a good place for those kind of diva vocals is these 0G data files. If you go into vocals, see what I mean? I mean, that's from Terrorist, isn't it? That I like this, but I feel like the second note she sings is totally off key. But maybe I could just pitch it. I'm not going to put her through auto-tune. But what I will do is just mess about with the transpose and see if I can put her a bit more in. What is she, flat or sharp? You see, back in the 90s, it was just like, not everybody was singing every note perfectly in pitch. And then sometimes they'd just be like, it's alright, we'll just put loads of reverb on it. It'll sound good. Sometimes you can try it out 12 semitones up. And you can also go the other way. To the people who've just joined us, this is my free jungle template which you can download on my Patreon, and it's patreon.com/Graish. All you need to do is sign up to become a member, whether it's a free member or a paid member, and then you're going to see the folder where you can download it from Dropbox, and make sure you download the whole folder with all the files in it, because it's going to contain all of these breaks and all these different samples which you will need. And I was saying at the beginning of the stream that, like, if you use, if you create a MIDI clip and create one pattern in here, then what you can do is drag it to the different ones and see how it sounds as an amen break. See how it sounds as a think. See if you prefer it as the funky drummer break. Okay, that was slightly off time. Yes, EXD, this is Ableton Live 12. I didn't even think of providing it as a Live 11 project folder as well, but I've definitely taken that suggestion on board because someone else said it before. You know what? I've literally never even tried out the little auto-tune plugin that comes with Ableton Live 12. In fact, I can't even remember what it's called. Is it Shifter? There's like a vocal tuning auto shift, that's it. And then what do you do? Crank it up somehow. I guess you have to put in the strength 100%. So that's already on max power. Big up Distant Lands in the chat. Well, to be honest with you, I don't really know how to. I probably should learn how to use auto shift before I put it on there. But anyway, it is a kind of 90s jungle tune, so it doesn't matter if she's sounding slightly off pitch. That was definitely better when I pitched her down, though. For the people who've just joined us, I do have to apologise that I have a cold right now and I'm sniffling and coughing and I've got a runny nose. It's all just what it's like at this time of year, isn't it? I don't know if it's the same in Britain and everything, but here it's like almost everybody's getting sick right now. But yeah, for the people who've just joined us, basically this is my Ableton Live jungle template, which you can download for free on my Patreon. I've basically included the amen break, the think break, hot pants break, and funky drummer break, all chopped up as MIDI. And then all you need to do is create MIDI clips. Put in, one thing that's crucial is to put the grid onto an eighth. So right click and choose 1/8. Then you just draw in your notes and rearrange the break, and you can make a jungle tune as easy as that. It'll probably take you, 5 minutes to program in the first break. And then, as I was saying, you can just drag that break, drag the MIDI clip to the different breaks. You're going to hear how it sounds. How it sounds as the hot pants break, how it sounds as the think break. Choose one or choose two. So if you just hold down Alt as you drag it, now you've got it on both. You've got instantly 2 breaks layered together. It's as easy as that. Now in the bass section, we've got the respace. I'm going to just play an F of each one. Wait. There's a Reese, got a donk bass. This is like, you might want to have a breakdown where everything goes away and then you just got donk, donk, da donk, donk, da donk, da donk, some ravey stuff, And then we've got the 808 bass, It's absolute classic, and I've put a load of saturation on it. Fat sub does what it says on the tin. And then I just included a few instruments to get you going, get you started on your jungle tune. So jazz chord, we've got pad, and needless to say, I do encourage that you get started using this template, but immediately start adding your own instruments and your own sounds into it, you know. It's like a sketch pad kind of thing, so you can quickly get your tune started and then start adding your own sounds into it. And then I was saying before that this effects, it's the drum rack, and I've just filled up 16 of the pads with different sound effects. And one that I've used in this bit of a tune that I'm making so far is this ray gun, and I've put some delay on it so it sounds like this. So altogether what I've done so far is... And actually, since we got the ray gun on beat 1, maybe she should come in a bit later, like this. Right. Sorry guys. I know it's annoying to listen to when I'm doing the melody. Alright, you know what I mean? I like it how it does that, and then she comes in with whoa, alternating. Then what you can do is, you know, you can use the piano in the template to start your tune and get the, you know, draw in the notes for a melody, or play them on a MIDI keyboard. But then once you've got your melody, you might think to yourself, well, actually, it'd sound better as a lead synth or something. So you can go into instrument rack. You can actually just type in lead. I don't know if you guys ever do this, like go through the list like this, just pressing the down arrow. I wonder what D&B Tools 2 would sound like for the melody. Another thing you can do is just like keep dragging different leads on there. Alright, so to me, D&B Tools 1 actually sounds pretty good for the lead. So I'm just going to rename that as lead. Now it's no longer a piano. And maybe the delay is a bit over the top. Yeah, it sounds better, doesn't it, Distant Lands? Definitely sounds better than it did as a piano. And let's have a show of hands in the chat. What do you think about the diva vocal? And particularly the second note that she sings, which is clearly a little bit off key. Is it ruining the tune, or does it give it a little bit of old school flavour? What I'm actually asking you is, do you like it or not? Or do you reckon it's better to delete that? And you see how this is something that's kind of up for debate. People always say, never go into the red. Never go above 0 dB. And I guess it's important to know the rules, but rules are there to be broken. So you see how right now this project, you can see it's peaking at plus 0.4, as in around half a dB over. And I'm kind of becoming a little bit less strict with that kind of stuff these days, you know. And I guess it's all to do with trusting your ears. Like, do you trust your ears to say, that sounds all right? I don't care if the meter says it's going over. As long as it doesn't sound bad to me, then I'm fine. You know? I always, like, throughout the first 10 to 15 years of producing, I was always like, I didn't really trust myself to let it go past 0. And I just automatically assumed it's going to sound terrible as soon as it starts clipping like that. But let's play this and see what you think. Do you think it's sounding terrible now that it's going past 0? So regarding the diva vocal, we've got Neil M saying sounds good to me, and Distant Lands saying drown it in reverb. So we do have a reverb on Sunday, so I can just crank that up. You know, there's actually loads of debating that we could do about this stuff regarding like clipping and peaking and stuff. I watched one video where a guy says he doesn't use any mastering plugins, he doesn't use a clipper, he just makes his tune so that it's like he tries to make it peak at around +3 or +4 on the master. And by the way, I'm not advising this. I'm also not saying he's completely incorrect, but I just find it interesting that everyone's got different techniques. Essentially, we're all going down different roads to get to the same place, which is doing a few dB of gain reduction in order to make your track louder in the end. You know, some people use a clipper, some people use a limiter, and that particular guy just literally drives Ableton's master into the red by 4 or 5 dB and allows it to clip it off, which is, I guess it takes some balls, but I mean, like I was saying before, it's, do you trust your ears? Do you trust yourself to do that and for it to not sound like a distorted mess? Do you even care? That's the thing for me. I've always, maybe too much, I've always concentrated on trying to make it clean, you know? But should it be clean? Perhaps it should be a bit dirty. Well, there's different types of dirty, isn't there? There's more like analog distortion, which obviously the saturator and tape emulation and stuff is trying to mimic. And then there's digital distortion, which usually sounds terrible. Anyway, for the people that do want to stay out of the red, or the yellow in this case, what you would do is you could just like highlight the first group, hold down shift, click the last thing, bring it down by 1 or 2 dBs. Now when I play it, it's not peaking at the master anymore. You also need to check your individual channels to make sure that nothing's peaking. And actually what you should really do is, you see how you've got these little meters in between every plugin, as in every instrument, every effect. You need to make sure none of them are going into the red as well. Really, if you want to make sure nothing's clipping at all, then you have to go through your whole project and make sure nothing's going into the red at all. Or just use your ears. It used to be an absolute cliche thing for people to say. Back when I started learning all this, I used to go on forums, and any beginner who asked a question that was a bit obvious, they'd just say, use your ears. A bit unhelpful, to be honest. Still feel like the second note is not exactly in tune. But is it flat or is it sharp? Maybe like that might be better. Anyway guys, listen, I'm not making a full tune today. I literally just wanted to demonstrate the template to you, which I think I've done. If you want to grab it, it's patreon.com/Graish. You can either become a free member or a paid member. If anyone has become a paid member because of this stream and because of this template, I just want to say thank you so much. Anyone who's supporting this channel, financially or otherwise, I really appreciate all of you. And even just the people who always click like, who always watch the videos till the end, who are subscribed to the channel and always comment and all the rest of it. That's another way of supporting the channel without having to pay anything, because I know we're not all in a financial position to do so. But probably the big way you can support a YouTuber is if you click on one of their videos, just make sure you don't click off it till the end and watch the whole thing, because you know how it all works with the algorithm and that. It's to do with retention. So the algorithm decides whether your video is actually being watched till the end. If it is, then it must be interesting, you know, that kind of thing. So if you want to support the channel, watch a tutorial all the way through. Big up Aaron303 in the chat. So anyway, I am a bit ill today, so I was saying I'm going to do a slightly shorter stream. Usually I try and go for at least 2 hours, but this one is, right now we're at like an hour and a quarter. I might do 90 minutes, alright? I am also starving, and my girlfriend's from the Philippines, and she's made this delicious dish called adobo, which is an absolute classic Filipino dish. And it's just there waiting for me, you know? Just being honest. Anyway, I wanted to ask you guys a question while we're all here. I'm, as the name suggests, DJ Graish. I am also a DJ. And this channel started before I ever did any tutorials or any production or even talking to the camera. I used to just do DJ mixes and post them on here. I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think of the idea of some of my live streams being me DJing? I could be here on the decks, but also talking, you know, get on the mic, obviously shout you guys out in the chat. I can play a load of tunes that I like, but also play my own tunes that I've been making in these streams and on my tutorials and stuff. I'm thinking about doing it. The only thing that's really holding me back is the fact that when I used to post my DJ mixes back in the day, there wasn't that much interest, if I'm honest. You know, they'd get a couple of hundred views, but my tutorials and stuff started getting a couple of thousand views, which is why the channel ended up going in this direction. So what do you think? Should DJ Graish make a return to the channel? You know what, Future World Machines? It's a very good question. The answer's no. And I've actually been, the last few times I went to the UK, I actually brought Lemsip back for these sort of times. Because we have this other one called Frenadol. It's pretty similar, but it's just not as nice. Lemsip, if I'm honest, it's basically sweeter. They've just put a bit of sugar in there. Perhaps I should make my Frenadol with a spoonful of sugar, and it's probably the same sort of thing. I know the melody. And that's like, I was saying before, I don't really recommend stacking all of the breaks on top of each other, but 3 of them going there don't sound too bad. We got the Amen, the Think, and the Hot Prance break all playing the same thing, and then all you do is you get your glue compressor, whack that on there, Neil M saying I should drop a DJ video these days. Now that the channel has 3,000 odd subscribers, maybe it'd get more views. That's a good point. You know what I mean? So it's all about trial and error. Try stuff out. If it doesn't work, you just press Control Z or Command Z to undo it and try something else. So I've got this, and this is the first time I'm showing it on the channel. Let me just switch the camera. Got a pretty inexpensive Pioneer controller from a second-hand app called Wallapop. And you know what? I've been checking out Serato and using stems in DJ sets, and it is an absolute game changer. Like being able to mix in the drums and the bass of one tune and then like the instruments and vocal of another tune. It's mad. It brings a whole new aspect to DJing, and it's really got me fired up to get back on it, you know. And I've showed you on this channel my own live sets where I use stems, you know, and you can mix and match the stems of my own tunes. But that's a good point, Gary. Gary Wood is asking me about copyright violation. You know what it means? It basically means that I don't make any ad revenue off that stream, which I can live with because, to be honest with you, the ad revenue off these streams right now is between 50 cents and €3 per stream, so I don't really care about it. I just care about having a good time and entertaining the people, you know. I'm not on Twitch. I've never been a Twitch streamer. It's another thing that's great about the fact that this channel now has, you know, a few thousand subscribers is that now if I launch a Twitch channel, I can try and get some of my existing YouTube audience to come across. But no, I've never used it yet. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave it here. I'm not making a full tune today. But if any of you guys liked the tune that I was playing before, in fact, as a little outro, I'm going to put it on one more time. And I'm not even going to save this. So that's gone. That was just a little demo. The template is still there, though. Anyone who wants to recreate what I just did, feel free. You just start with the template and put in all the notes and stuff. So anyway, this is called Twilight. It was named by my brother, DJ Fully Loaded. And it's a liquid tune that I made last week on the stream. And I showed you how to do it from start to finish. So if anyone didn't see it, you can watch that one. Yeah, Neil is saying that I should try multi-streaming, as in being on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. And if I ever did join Twitch, I think that's definitely what I would do. And then you can, I've watched a lot of streams that do that, and you can get like a joint chat where you've got everyone from Twitch and YouTube and any other service. I'm not sure if people still use Facebook for streaming these days, but any other streaming platform, you can put all the chats together and have it there on the screen. Big up Andrea Paro. Nice to see you here again. And I don't really like it when I see the same faces and the same names come back on a weekly basis. I know that Andrea was here when I was making this tune. One thing I really like about this tune is they contact this particular Rhodes piano. What is it that makes this Rhodes piano so nice? Well, look at the chords. They're not just triads or like 3-note chords, they're actually 6 notes each. And I don't know if it's minor 7th or minor 9th or whatever, but it's something along those lines. Anyway, I want to big up everyone in the chat. Andrea Paro, we've got Neil M, Future World Machines, Gary Wood, Misty, Distant Lands, Aaron 303, EXD, DJ Fully Loaded, No-Fi Jams, Paolo Neto. We've got Jarson. And last but definitely not least, my beautiful girl, Manilyn Sahagon, who's made us some delicious adobo. Oh, I didn't realise when I was trying to show you the chords that it was just on my face the whole time. Let me show you again. So it's looking like this. So each chord, instead of just having the basic 3 notes, it's got an additional 3 on top. And it makes a chord that you might call a minor 7th chord or minor 9th or something like that. That's probably something I should do. I should actually learn music theory so I actually know what I'm talking about in that aspect. Yo, big up Neil. I didn't see your message, but yeah. I wasn't sharing my screen. I was just sharing my face. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there, guys, but I will see you same time, same place.